Yeah. So I'm talking to a geezer called Gary who was in the, what was it?
I was in the, I was training to be an infantryman.
An infantryman in the
British Army.
The British Army, and he was talking about maybe the Gulf War.
When the Gulf War was on, we did loads of NBC training.
Yeah. Nuclear,
biological, and chemical warfare training.
Yeah.
In the gas chamber, eating and drinking and shit like that.
Yeah.
We all went to see the doctor, HUSSEIN, and they injected everybody. Everyone got an injection. You couldn't really see what it was on the, I don't know, I didn't know what it was on the card or whatever that you got as you went in. And then everyone had to go outside, stand in a sort of platoon or whatever. And
you were saying everybody had an injection or something?
Yeah, everyone had it. Like, everyone got an injection, and then you had to go and stand outside, and they tried to march everybody back to the barracks. But after, I don't know, it must have been about 5-10 minutes, everyone started going weird. I felt a bit weird. I was like dead light-headed and sort of, you know. And then as we were marching along, people were falling over, and there was people like just in the middle of the group just veering through everyone else and collapsing on the grass. And there was sort of, the main group was just sort of ushered back to the barracks. We went back to the barracks, everyone was told to go back to the bed. Everyone went to the bed. Then the corporals came round, and then they came to every person and they said, do you feel stupid? Do you feel stupid? And it's like, yeah, I do, yeah, I feel it. Yeah, a bit light-headed and that, you know.
Yeah.
And they went, take these 2 tablets. And like, they went round and gave everyone 2 tablets. Everyone had to have the 2 tablets. And then just went to sleep for a bit. And then you got up and, you know, it was the evening and then it was your army day.
Was everything fine the day after then, yeah?
It sort of seemed to be, yeah. I didn't really think about it at the time. I didn't think anything of it. It was only, you know, years later I was sort of thinking, whoa, hang on. That's, you know, that happened.
Right, let me tell you a story about somebody who I met, right, was a psychiatrist, yeah? Some guy came up to me, tapped me on the shoulder in the town, handed him out, was like, yep. He says, hey, I've got a couple of things to tell you, let's go for a pint. Walked in the pub. He's a guy called Kelvin. It turns out his mum fostered us years ago and whatever. And he'd specifically come to Grimsby to meet us and give us some photographs of when we were kids. Now, and then he started talking about his job. Do you know what I mean? He said, oh yeah, I'm a psychiatrist working for the army, and I'm dealing with Gulf syndrome. You know, victims of Gulf syndrome, and that you were given like 2 tablets. Do you know what I mean? To counteract the chemicals, the possible chemicals that Saddam Hussein was supposed to have had. But in fact, what he did have, he had used the CIA sold them chemical weapons in 1976, I think it was, and he used all those chemicals on Kurds. So the American government and the British Army and the American Army knew that it didn't have chemical weapons anyway. So now, what was really going on with testing soldiers? Because it couldn't have just been your platoon, you know.
No, that was just one little.
They were testing tablets on. They were basically using soldiers as guinea pigs out there.
It's often been the case, though, hasn't it?
It's definitely very weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
It was a weird occurrence for sure.
Happened during Vietnam,
you know.
Yeah.
Second World War.
And now we're getting some interviews on people today from the Gulf War.
It was when it was going on. I think people were panicking though, weren't they? You know, they seemed to be there. It was a panic almost, you know.
Yeah.
Everyone was in like.
I don't think there was panicking that much.
After no, there was. It was on like you know, they have the different alerts. It was on a fucking, you know, top alert like when we was at Folkestone.
Yeah.
There was bombs in London then at some point as well when we was there. There was one point where we were left to come home at Christmas and went through London and there'd been a bomb scare then. And there was nobody in London. It was just like, whoa.
Yeah, there was actually doing a test on the day the bomb went off, wasn't there? There was actually doing a...
that was weird,
on the news there's a scenario that took place on the news where there was interviewing politicians and they were saying, oh yeah, we're going to be doing a possible attack on a possible training course in London. So the police and the army and all the response units will know what to do if we have an attack. And on exactly the scenario they were saying that they're going to practice on, a year later it actually happened. On the day there was practice in it. Wow. Yeah? And it's so to the T. On top of that, when the bombs went off, in London. I think they was waiting for the right time, because everyone seems to have forgotten that day. Bob Geldof and them were doing that thing up in Scotland, weren't they? Now I was in contact with people in Stirling.
The G20 summit.
Yeah, the G20 summit, right?
Or G8
and they
summit.
told everybody that they couldn't protest and go up there to Octorada, was where the meeting was. Yeah, the G8 summit. But how can they say you can't protest in a democratised society? Do you know what I mean? You can't, right? So what they did, they told everybody they'd ban it, they banned the march, so thousands upon thousands of people didn't go. But they did let a few hundred people through, because an hour later they went around and said, oh, but we can't really stop it. So they let a few hundred people through. Now on that day I was flicking through all the different news channels and watching all the different reports on it. Every single news reporter that was in Octorada reporting on this were all shoved down, all of them together, were pushed down by the police, this is, pushed down into, you know, like some side steps that go down the side of a pub into like the cellars. They pushed them all down there, there was fencing around it anyway, and then police surrounded them with shields so they couldn't film anything. But the last bit of footage that I saw on telly was, I think it was Sky News. They were holding the camera above everybody else and just captured before the shields went over it and stopped them filming. What they were doing, they kettled about 200 people into this round fenced off space, like a sheep pen, and then just moved in and were battering them as the last camera got fucking closed in.
That's great.
You know what I mean? And then as that happened, it flicked to London. A bomb's just gone off. It was like, you what? Now this thing, Bob Geldof had got people from all over the world to come on their own boats and everything, didn't they? They showed support. He did a massive gig in Edinburgh, and then when the gig was supposed to have finished, all them people were going to go to Stirling to meet up with a crew of people. There was over 40,000 people in Stirling, and then it was all going to go to Octorada, all of them. He had the people that were on the fields, because I was in close contact with people that was in Stirling. Listen, in Stirling itself, I was in close contact with people up there. And they were saying they had like sniper, what do you call this? Or you know, because they blocked the roads off, they tried going across the fields, but there was like sniper hives and that, like in bits of woodland in between the hills and stuff. I know that territory quite well, like, but at the tops of hills you'll get a bunch of trees like that. And they sent the soldiers down as people were trying to walk across the fields to get over to it to tell them to turn back. You know what I mean? Yeah. No ships or even the army.
Martial law.
Yeah, like martial law. Yeah.
They just shoot you.
That's what it was.
If you get out of order,
but
they
like,
shoot you.
I personally think that this London bombing was all to do with covering up what was going on up in Scotland, because it was a massive protest. Yeah.
That wasn't news then. It was all about the bombing.
It instantly got shut off.
Yeah, decoys.
Yeah, it's all the politics, red flag operations again.
Yeah, decoys. Yeah.
And the public,
the Americans would have asked for
no
that.
one's really weighed that up and put it.
Yeah.
No one's really weighed that up and put it into a video as of yet of that day's happenings when that happened. You know,
the common decoys in that going on for
yeah, as far as the bombing and stuff's concerned, but not the
way
fact
that they
that
built
they've
the bomb.
used that to cover.
The cover story, is that they use peroxide, from hair dye, to create the bomb.
Yeah.
Now, if you was to do that, you'd have to buy fucking loads of it. It'd be dead suspicious. It'd look dodgy.
Yeah, please.
You could buy it. Because it's only at 2% for about 100 mils. If you went into a grow shop, you could buy a litre of it at 17.5%.
All that dribble.
Do you know what I mean?
Why would I be interested in shit like that anyway, man?
It's about chemistry. Do you know what I mean? Why would they say it'd be done like this to create a bomb? When obviously it would be a lot easier to do it a different way. You know.
Yeah, they're almost like telling you the basic fucking ingredient on telly.
Yeah.
So I've got something to chase about, like.
Well, they use a nitrogen peroxide bomb suspended in chapati paste.
Everyone gets dead London,
right? Because it's really combustible. It oxidises at a massive rate, hence a big explosion.
Ding, 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 ding.
I'm doing alright.
Doing alright.
If you was going to do that, you wouldn't buy lots of little things
Working nights
and try and do it that way. You'd get something and put it together quite a lot easier, wouldn't you? Do you know what I mean?
No, I don't know what you mean.
Right. If you're buying it at 2%, a percentage weight, in say 100 grams, and you buy a hair dye that's £5 each, how many of those are you going to need to say get 5 litres? Answer, fucking loads, right? If you went to a grow shop, yeah, and you went and got some liquid oxygen, yeah, it's at 17.5%, it's a litre. How many of those, yeah, do you need to get to 98% volatility? Yeah, where we create a really big explosion. The answer is still quite a few of them, but they're actually quite easy to buy. When those 7.7 bombings went off, yeah, they actually went around all the grow shops, yeah. Have you noticed any Asians and that, yeah, buying fucking liquid oxygen? Do you know what I mean? It's like... but it's strange though, on TV. This is how you can create an explosion, yeah, that'll fucking do loads of damage. But the reality is, yeah, that was a military grade explosion. Somebody didn't make that. You can tell by it.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll finish that at that, mate. Anyway.